having a guest in the house, and she's none other than Remi Osholake, popularly known as Remi Lagos. Join us as we meet her. Please, you're welcome on the show. Good evening. Good to have you. Yeah, so what's been happening to you? Let's start from there.
Well, I've been busy. I was discussing with you earlier. I've been away doing a show in South Africa.
Okay.
It was a major show for me because it was like the first time in my career in 26 years this year and I actually got to do an international show. All shows I've been doing were shows in South Africa with the South African Fashion Week, but this year in particular it was a focus for the international designers, and that meant that I got to do a show with designers from as far away as Australia. In fact, the lady I did the show with, my partner, so to say, on the show, was coming that day all the way from Australia.
Okay.
And it was amazing to see her collection, to see collections from other designers like from Malawi. And also we had a lot of international models taking part as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to ask you, why South Africa? Why didn't you move the show down here to Nigeria?
Well, like I said, I've been doing this show in South Africa with the South African Fashion Week for at least, it's my 8th year now.
Okay.
And fundamentally, there's a vision we've had that in 10 years, we'll be able to actually put all the West African, all the South African, and maybe we'd say mid-West African designers on the map.
Okay.
And because the structures that they have set in place for themselves are really, really of a higher standard than even, I mean, when you're watching the shows in Joburg, for instance, or Cape Town, you could be anywhere in the world. And that's what I admire about them most, their professionalism. And so in order to grow, to associate with, you know, the bigger picture, I think it was important that I stick to Joburg and have a focus.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just go back a little bit. You are one woman who has helped in stamping Nigeria in the world map of fashion. Yes. Well, how did it all start for you? I mean, you are a fashion icon, a veteran in the fashion industry.
I say veteran.
It's a veteran in the fashion industry. How did it all start for you? Was there a flair you just developed or something?
Well, what a lot of people don't know is my mother was a very famous musician.
Okay.
My mom had an all-female band. So as a child, and when I say as a child, maybe as a 9, 10-year-old, I was always in charge of my mother's wardrobe for maybe she used to be on the Art Alade show. She used to do like concerts with Victor Alaya. And I remember as a kid always putting her clothes together, the costumes, the shoes. But when I went to do my A-levels in England, a time came when I decided that I wanted to study fashion based on certain extraordinary circumstances that are unbelievable. Long story, another time maybe.
Okay.
But basically, I had a career counselor, and I told her I wanted to do fashion, and she gave me this massive compendium at the time, and I went through it, and I found I could do actually a course, as in a degree in fashion. But I had to qualify to go into the art school that I was hoping to go into by doing a foundation course in art and design, which meant that you'd have a portfolio put together which would be reviewed by a board. And I remember having to present it and explaining myself, I'm from Nigeria and I want to set a trend in Nigeria, I want to go back. And obviously I must have convinced them to be accepted, because I was actually accepted with an O-level, which was, and I got a B actually in O-level art, which at that time was pretty impressive for someone who'd come from Nigeria. And so I qualified to do a foundation course, which is what most people have to do before they can actually get into a proper art school. Now everybody goes to art school, now everybody does stuff with fashion. So, you know, we were the forerunners, and there were a few of us like that who were so passionate about what we wanted, actually just what we wanted to do. We were more focused on what we wanted to do than be a doctor or lawyer. You know,
you could tell that passion is from the inside. It's not an external thing, not informed by maybe...
I think it's more than from the inside. I think it's really about recognizing your destiny. It's really, if you ask me, I think the most important thing that many of us must know is what is our destiny. And many of us have insight into this destiny at a very early age. there are a few other things that I've done in my life when I was younger, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. You know?
You must really have that kind of focus.
I think it's more to do with maybe educating myself. Because I didn't go to university, I think there must have been times when I was really into reading a lot more. Also, art and design. The schools I went for, we had to study art. I had to study many of the great artists. It was very difficult. I thought I'd just be drawing and and cutting patterns. No, I had to have a foundation in
art.
Yes, in art. Like learn about Pablo Picasso, Van Gogh. There's so many other famous artists that we had to study them. Go to the museums. That was one of my field trips to Paris. We had to go to the Louvre, which is a famous French museum where a lot of the French artists, their works are held, in trust. And you'd come back and have to write essays. So it was as much as it was very practical, there was a lot of academic stuff to it as well.
Okay, so what you're telling us now is that fashion is way deep connected to art.
Yes, of course.
Graphics,
because
arts and painting and all of that.
First of all, some of the courses I had to do involved, because I told you I was studying textile design.
Yeah.
So it involved textiles. There's a long history to textile design. It's just not about fabric and how we're using these fabrics now.
How long have you been in the industry?
This is my 26th year.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time. 26?
Yeah, I started really young. I started at 24.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
When you talk about then, when you compare then and now, what would you say are the major changes that have visited the fashion industry?
Now, there's no monopoly in the same way that we had it in those days. There were just a few of us, and those few of us were not even celebrated the way designers are celebrated now. I was just doing something so different that you just had to recognize my clothing and my brand, my advertising. Because, I went to school to understand how to market, how to get the customer going, how to build a brand. And I was constantly doing all sorts of business courses just to keep this brand in the minds of the people. But now, I think the advantage is everybody's more aware of what the industry is about. And that helps the business,
Yeah, but again, for you in particular, you have just chronicled your background. You didn't just wake up one morning and say, okay, I want to do fashion, I'll take a needle and a thread and you start making clothes. You had an educational background, all tailored towards becoming a renowned fashion designer, which you have achieved today.
Yeah.
But for so many people, I don't want to say it's like that for so many people. Don't you think the infiltration of people who are not properly groomed and schooled for this could actually mar the fashion industry in one way or another?
No, I always tell people, you're only as good as your next customer. I don't care how famous you are, you're only as good as your next customer. Even if you sell something today, if you can't sell it tomorrow. So what I've noticed has happened is, over the years, you find out that you just even if you are not trained, it's okay. It doesn't mean that many of our parents were not trained to do the sewing, and I know many mothers who were in the business, but their daughters came and took over. It's all right. They say there's no one way into the marketplace. But the important thing is that you evolve, you master your craft. You go on courses, you improve yourself. But I don't care how qualified you are, how unqualified you aren't, or how unqualified you are. I don't care how good your tailors are. You're only as good as your next customer.
How do we classify you? I mean, in terms of designs and all of that, what is your own unique style?
I'm really into the fit, the cut, the fabric, the style of the fabric, the style of the outfit, But most of all, my clothes are classics. Most people come and tell me that, please, I need another outfit. I've been wearing this outfit for so long. They are even begging me to put it down. For me, that is what I'm about. When a customer has an outfit and everybody has to beg her, that this is enough now, please. That says a lot about me. And that's really where I'm unique. Clothing is a spiritual business. People don't know. When you use your soul, your mind to create something, you imbibe in it love, positive feelings. You know what it's like to cut this neckline, to do this thing. Just like cooking, people who make food.
Yes.
The same thing. They have to chop the tomatoes, the pepper, the onions.
Yeah.
There's and if you're not in a bad mood,
okay,
if you're in a good mood, you find that that food will be delicious. Even clothing, I find that when I'm in a bad mood, there's some things that just don't come out well. But when I'm inspired, I've done my homework, I've done research into what I want to do, invariably it comes out so well, and that's what somebody just for no reason wants.
Oh, can you be that? So what inspires you? What inspires you?
All sorts of things. I always tell people that one of the things that inspires me most is whether you rent a house or you own your house.
That's a very deep one. Can you break it down?
If you live in a 3-bedroom house, the kind of dressing you'll be dressing different from someone who lives in a house, wardrobes full of clothes, she hangs her clothes differently. If you're in a 2-bedroom flat, you know how your clothes will be hanging now. Everything is in one wardrobe. When you have a customer that owns her house has built-in wardrobes. Okay, she's entertaining. The kind of staircase in her house will be different from you in your 2 bedrooms.
You got that right. I feel you.
You feel me? What kind of car do you step into? Is it those ones with escort that come open the door for you?
So all of that.
All of that. So when you step, I'm always telling my tailor, look, this is for a big madam. This one you're making why is it so short? Please. This person when doing these things, she's a big madam. And this is unique to us as Nigerians. Nobody has this lifestyle.
So when you want to do a creation, you don't really go into like a kind of reflection, as in maybe you talked about the spirituality.
Yeah, that's automatic. That's by default. I mean, if you're a human being, you have some kind of level of spiritual development. So that's, but it's imbibed. I was trying to say it's imbibed in the clothing. But when it comes to the concept of the clothes, I always tell people, why are you wearing this thing too?
All right.
This is what you should be wearing to where you're going.
That's another question. That's a very good question because, again, Nigerians, yes, we're very fashionable, but sometimes we wear the wrong things for the wrong event.
Whose opinion? Because a lot of stuff we go for these days, a lot of events are really, for many people, about being seen, being taken photographs of, being rated, being recognized, actually. Fashion, one of the courses we had to do was to do with the psychology of fashion, why we wear clothes, what clothes mean to us, how people evaluate you, first impressions. You never get a chance to make a second impression. Isn't that what they say? All those things, those issues, they're very social, they're very psychological. Many people don't feel confident if they're not wearing diamonds. Many people don't feel confident if they're not wearing long dresses. Some people feel best in shorts. Some people feel best in open shoulders, we call it. Some people feel best when they're covered up. And even those feelings are psychological. They come from maybe your friends, your neck is like this. Why is it all wrinkled like this? After that,
wait a minute, is my neck wrinkled?
No. Well, I have all these lines from when I was a child. They were regarded as rings of wealth.
All right.
So for me, my mother used to tell me, don't you have enough rings around your neck to be wearing jewelry? After that comment, I've never felt confident.
Wearing jewelry?
And even when I try and wear a necklace, you always hear that voice in your head. These are the kind of things I'm telling you about. And that's why I'm saying that fashion is it's a lot more than just buying a dress in the shop.
Customers come to you and they're like, please, Remi, I need you to just do something good for me. Or sometimes they come to you and say, come, I need this particular dress. And you know for sure that, fashion, a dress, the beauty of a dress will be determined by the size, the height, and the shape of that person. Do you give those kind of advice to your customers?
I do, but what I found out, I tell you one thing I realized, I always tell people I've been selling since I was 13. I learned from a very early age how to please the customer. And for me, I think you first of all have to understand what the customer is about. Like I said, it sounds like a joke. Are you living in your house or you're living in a rented apartment? All those things count because her approach to her purchase will be based on her lifestyle. She's not even sometimes you're not even conscious of it because you're walking around as a human being with your own values, your own desires, how you want to impress somebody. So for as much as you might be telling someone that this outfit doesn't suit you, she feels that it suits her. So for you, the challenge is to get it to suit her as much as possible and leave her. Don't be telling her it doesn't suit her because in her mind, that's what she wants. That's how she sees herself, So I try in the design elements to at least put in some things that enhance you automatically. And that's why I say it's about the cut. If you get the cut of an outfit right for a lady, she's bound to look nice.
So you've been in the industry for this long.
Yeah.
What would you say is your golden moment? You must have had a golden moment in your, sojourn in the fashion industry. What would you say is your golden moment?
I think my golden moment is always when I take a bow for a show. After the show, it's just, and you see, sometimes you get a standing ovation. I've been to many countries, and I think that, to me, because really what you're talking about as a golden moment is the highlights.
Yeah.
It's the highlights of whatever you've achieved, moment per moment or per job, so to say.
So on a final note, what's your general advice to people? When it comes to fashion, what to wear, and how to wear it?
Enjoy. Wear what you want. It's nobody's business. Even if they're criticizing you, it's your own use. You paid for it. You didn't steal it. As long as you paid for your thing, and if you're happy in it, I think really the important thing is just be happy. Enjoy yourself in this life.
Because we have just one life.
You have one lifetime to live.
Yeah.
So enjoy it.
And make the best of it.
Yeah, make the best of it by being happy. Make yourself happy. And if the important thing is to be really confident about who you are. Yeah. Because for all times, I can tell you that clothes don't make up man. I can tell you that clothes make up man. So it's the middle way you choose. In life,
create a balance.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.